Welcome back. We have a knife here, and this one is exciting and yet a little sad for a few reasons. So let's get it going. This here is the Demko AD20.5. It's just the regular Grail 10 version, but I find it to be a great EDC. The reason this knife is so cool is it's actually the first, I don't know for sure. It may be the first Demko that I saw in a review. And the one that kind of got me going, how about that? I can't remember what I watched first, but it's definitely high on the list of like the first early impressions I had on Demkos. And it's kind of ironic because I've never personally sold a Demko, but this is the last one that I'm buying. Hey, interesting one on the Rube Goldberg project here. I haven't seen duct tape before. That's pretty fun. We'll give the seller a little credit for jerry rigging. I don't really know what to call this, but never seen a knife wrapped in duct tape. So carefully try and get this open here. But this particular model is highly sought after. It's considered by many people that have it in their collection like one of their favorite knives, if not their favorite knife. And it's pretty hard to come by. I think those things all kind of play into each other in what I'll call knife hype. And this one has a lot of knife hype. And there it is. Long time coming. So this is the knife, the last Demko I'll buy for, well, I wouldn't say that. I think there's more stuff coming out, but the last one I'm buying before I sell off about half my collection, that's just tied to the next video I do, which is going to be the all Demko video. And this is the Demko full-size 80/20. So you can see the difference here between a full-size and a slim. It's the same size handle, but much slimmer on the blade. And that is much bigger than an 80/20.5. It's a US made knife. And this here is actually one of the very originals. I got this from a buyer that, at least I believe it is. I don't know 100% for sure. I'm just trying to look around on it right now and see if I can, get a sense of what exactly it is. It doesn't have the original box. It looks like there's a little dust in there, so that could be that it was pocketed. It could not be. It's hard to say. Let's get a feel on the blade. Blade feels immaculate. Feels like a factory original. And man, what a beautiful, beautiful knife that is. And this one actually doesn't have the blade steel written in it like all the others that I've bought. So it was so early on, they weren't even carving the blade steel in there, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened here. But that makes it kind of a mystery knife, which is a little extra cool, I think. I'm just trying to see if it looks like it's a full factory edge. I think it is. It's super smooth. So there it is. That's the knife that I've always wanted. Here is a similar clip point in the 80/20.5, and then here's the drop point 80/20S to compare. The scales here are not milled out, so it's a full weight tie. You can see the difference here on milled scales. And they do these textured tie and milled scales too. They call it the lightweight versus this is the full tie or all tie. All the 80/20s I think are. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure all the 80/20s are full weight. And that thing's got some nice sound to it too. Let's see if you can tell the difference in the sound here. That thing is just substantial. You know, the sound of knives oftentimes comes with the resonance of the clicking through the handle. A handle that's hollowed out like this, you get a little bit of a lower note. A handle that's full tie is going to be a little higher note, but it's still, sorry, quite a bit more substantial sound than, you know, the little AD20.5 there. So I had tracked down a no slot version of this, and I was like, I should be satisfied with it. It's 3V, it's like super early one. I felt pretty good about it, but it just kept bugging me that the one I originally saw and really wanted was the slotted version. It's just, for me personally, this is the knife I always wanted. And I literally, sometimes what will happen with me is I will not find the exact knife I want and like buy so many other knives to try and make up for it that it'll cost me so much extra money as a collector. Then I finally get the one I want and I can kind of let a lot of that other stuff go, which is sort of what's happening here. So this one really fits into the overall collection that I've amassed here. And there are about half of what I've collected that I'm going to let go. I won't go into the details, but I've already got one buyer that's doing over $7,000 worth of the Demko collection. There now, just so you can put it into perspective, there's over 30 knives. You'll see it in the all Demko collection video. And we've got some pretty cool buyers that are looking to take out some of the high-end versions and various models that I've collected. So I started to release a list of about 20 knives that I was willing to part ways with. Of those 30, I think it's 34, 35 knives. And there's like one or two that I was really on the fence, like, do I let it go? But yeah, gonna let some of these guys go. So, you know, what I really feel about this particular model that I think is, you know, really worth talking about is the feel in hand of this is really, really nice. And I've noticed that with the customs that I got that were in this size. But the milling and the finish on this US made titanium is just different. This is like a matte and it's a little rougher, and it's actually great from a usability perspective, but it feels more like a tool. And this feels more like, I don't know, a little bit of a work of art mixed with a tool, if that makes sense. Like the Demko is definitely not what I consider like an artsy knife, but there's some art to it. And yeah, something about this clip point and just this exact model. It's so funny how much I wanted this exact model and how much it's satisfying my desire to have it now that it's sitting here, just given those specific details that I was looking for around this particular finish, around that particular blade, clip point. I was thinking maybe when I got the drop point AD20S, it would kind of take care of it. It is cool. I'm glad I have it. I think this is one of the ones I'm going to keep. But yeah, there's just something special about this one for me personally. So I'll probably be letting the 3V. Let me see if I can find that one really quickly to just show it here. But there's this 3V. Again, one of the very early copies here. And it's like so close. What's interesting to me actually that I noticed right away when I got this out of the box, these shark locks are always a little, not always a little different, but like they can be a little different in color. And this one feels like a little lighter than that one. So that's kind of interesting to me. I can, yeah, there we go. Nice little zoom. You can see it's a little lighter color than that one, which is interesting. I'm trying to see if I see any other differences here. So this was a 3V no slot, and one of the things that just kind of stood out to me when I started looking at this was the blade steel finish looks just a little, nah, it's pretty similar. I'm just trying to figure out if it's just the slot there or if there's something else that just makes it look so different. It may just be the slot. That's just a hunk of metal. I love this knife. Like, this is really, really cool. But for me personally, given the option between these two, I'm like just slightly, I like this one a little bit more. Plus it's just the, I don't want to say nostalgia, but that first impression was this is the knife that I was looking for. So they're really similar otherwise. I think they're like pretty much the same titanium scale. I think the hardware is exactly the same, if not very close. You just don't know. Some of these early versions, you imagine they were playing around a little bit with how they made them. But generally they're the same. And it looks like a, you know, similar edge and everything in terms of how they were sharpened, this being the machine ground version. The scales look the same inside. The back spacers, the standoffs look the same. So pretty cool to end up with two of these, but one must go. And although there's a little quirkiness of this one to not have the actual blade steel in here, you can see the 3V is, let's see if I can get this focused here for you. The 3V is carved in there by hand. So it's a little quirky to not have the blade steel in there at all. Unless somehow the seller missed it, and I've missed it so far. Don't think so though. So it's kind of an interesting quirk there. Now there've been a couple other things I've noticed, like this one has it in here also, the 17-4, I think it is, PH. And I don't know if I noticed on this one yet if it had it in there. This one does, so that is interesting. This one does have that that carving on the inside there. So just super weird to me that the blade on this one doesn't have any marking. It's an indistinguishable blade steel. So the assumption is that it would either be one of a few. I think it would either be 3V, 20CV, or crew wear. I'd have to double check my notes really quickly, but I'm pretty sure those are the only three blade steels that the AD20 was offered in. Again, AD20 versus AD20S, they're quite different in what Demko has done. AD20S has been offered in a pretty wide variety, including LMAX and quite a few other blade steels. So yeah, let me just double check my notes here. So 3V, 20CV, and crew wear is probably one of those, but you don't know for sure. It's kind of fun. I kind of love that about this particular knife. Especially if it's something you're going to keep. Like if you're going to sell it, that might make it a little harder. I don't know. Maybe it'd be interesting to someone else also. But for me as a keeper, that's pretty cool. So the weight of it is probably more than my scale can handle, but let's give it a quick check if we can here. I do have a different scale in the other room I bring in for some of these Demko videos because a lot of these are over 7 ounces and this is a max 7-ounce scale. And it airs out. So it's over by like 7 1/4 or something like that. Unfortunately. So let me get this over here. I'll probably bring in my heavy scale for the all Demko video and include that as a part of it, as doing a bunch of weigh-ins on various different models and stuff. Oops, sorry about that. But there it is. That's the one, you know, that kind of started it all. There was like a blue G10 one that Nick Sabaz reviewed a couple years back, and then it was like you saw these textured tie ones hit, and I feel like things really blew up when that happened, where the look of it and everything resonated with, you know, a lot of collectors and knife gurus. And you know, a lot of people, it's funny, you listen to some of the top reviewers out there and like, I don't even know if I can even get my hands on one. One of the big challenges with these Demkos is just being able to get your hands on them. And that took me like 3 months to find that knife, of like constant searching daily. You know, I could have definitely overpaid a few times to get that model, but it's very hard to collect a lot of knives if you're overpaying for them, especially if you need to change things or sell something. You know, then you're really spending money. That's one of the interesting things with knives, is there's spending money on knives and there's investing money in your knives. I wouldn't say it's a good investment most of the time. Sometimes it is, but most of the time you'd be better off putting your money in the stock market or real estate or something that's going to give you real long-term, you know, returns and gains and whatnot. But, you know, if you can flip a knife around in a short period of time and you're not over investing your money into it, there's definitely a difference between buying a knife for $1,000 and selling it for $1,000 versus buying it for $1,000 and never selling it, or buying it for $1,000 and selling it for $500. So things, you know, to be considered. And I definitely did not overpay on this one. I think I paid right about what's right on the second market for like a fair deal. I definitely didn't get a stupid deal on it. It was not a like, oh my God, I can't believe I just got that. I've had that a few times, but not on this one. Both of these, in fact, you know, those sellers knew that someone out there would pay good money for them, and I paid a fair price. So yeah, really cool knife. Super excited to have it in the collection, and I'm literally going to walk over now to a different area where I have enough room to do the full Demko collection video. So if you're watching this within a day of this video dropping, I would imagine, I'm not 100% sure, but you should be able to see the video where I kind of walk through everything I've learned about Demko, and we will see you on that one. So appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and take care.